Hey, yo, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. Hey, today we're talking running boards versus rock sliders, and we're gonna help you decide which is best for you. All right, let's get into it. Let's go. So running boards versus rock sliders, it's actually a question I've had quite a few people ask me on the channel. So we're gonna dig into that a little bit today. On one side, you've got rock sliders, and on the other side, everything else kind of fits in the other category. Running boards, side steps, Nerf bars, whatever you want to call it, those generally fit in the same category, and then rock sliders are kind of on their own. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down what I see as the pros and the cons of each one, and maybe give you a recommendation of what you should be considering for your truck. All right, let's start with the running boards, and we're gonna go with the pros first, because I feel like I'm a pretty optimistic guy. So let's talk about the pros. Pros, obviously, running boards, they're gonna add a nice look to your truck. To me, it gives it a little bit more aggressive stance, and there's all kinds of finishes and designs and materials that those can be made out of, and depending on what you go with, it's gonna determine what the look is on your truck. And I'll tell you in a little bit what I've got going on mine. Next, they actually do provide a nice step up for, people that are maybe a little bit shorter that are trying to get up into your truck. If your truck's lifted, this is gonna make a big difference. If it's not, maybe it's not something that you need from a functionality standpoint, but it definitely does, give a nice little step for people that need to jump up into the truck. I know that my wife appreciates having it every time that she gets in at 5'4.5". It's kind of nice that she can just step up on that running board and then get up into the truck. Next is running boards compared to rock sliders are less expensive. You're generally going to be spending less money on them, and that's a nice pro to have. Now this one may be a little bit controversial, but to me, running boards actually do add a little bit of nice protection to your truck. Now I'm not talking about boulders and rocks and things coming from underneath to be able to support the weight of the truck. We'll talk about that in the cons. What I am talking about, however, is, when you're going around town and you're parking and people are opening up their door, the way that that running board sits out a little bit further from the door itself, it's gonna hit that running board first before it hits your actual door of your car. And if you ever have to replace a running board, it's gonna be way cheaper than if you've got to fix dings and dents and stuff that actually happen in your truck door itself. The last pro, I think, on running boards is they are a lighter material. And so while that protection factor is really from doors and dings and stuff like that, the lighter material is kind of nicer. You're not adding a ton of weight to your truck. And I think that that's a pro as far as the running boards go. So what about rock sliders? All right, pros of rock sliders. Rock sliders are made to be very durable. They're definitely made with a higher quality, stronger material than what running boards are made out of. So that's one of the very first pros right out of the gate. And the reason that you want that extra durability is the next one, which is it adds true protection to the undercarriage of your Tacoma or of your truck, whatever it is. That's the number one reason for rock sliders. It's to actually protect it when you're off-roading, to be able to have that heavier material, that more durable material that's gonna protect the undercarriage of your truck. Now, they do add a nice look and a nice aesthetic too, don't get me wrong. So that's another, additional bonus that you're getting when you add those rock sliders, very similar to running boards. The different finishes or the different styles that you use, whether it's gonna be angled, whether it's gonna be flat, those are gonna give you a nice look on your truck. And again, the number one pro, however, is the protection when you go off-roading. If you need something that can really handle the weight of the rocks, and be able to handle the weight of the truck in a lot of cases, because these are gonna be attached very, very well to the bottom. That's gonna be the biggest pro of rock sliders. So while it seems like one little line item, it's actually the biggest thing. It makes the biggest difference whatsoever. Now, what about the cons of both rock sliders and running boards? For the cons, we'll stick with the rock sliders first this time, and they are heavy. That more durable material, that stronger material, it adds weight to your truck. So that's something you got to keep in mind. You're going to be adding a lot of weight. Those are generally very heavy. And often what that means is if you're ordering them online, you're going to be paying a pretty premium for shipping. They're just heavy. They're going to cost more to get to you. The other thing is, because of that, it's a heavier material, often more expensive to ship. It's a more durable. It's going to protect your Tacoma. That also means it's more expensive. So generally, when you're looking at getting some rock sliders, you better be looking at the budget. You better be making sure that you can afford those. The other thing is, they're not always a great step to get up into the truck. While they do provide a step, and this is a minor thing, you know, generally on rock sliders, you don't want something too low because that's going to lower your clearance on your truck. Lowering your clearance, whatever kind of truck you have, if you're off-roading, not a good thing. And therefore, they're not usually a great step because they're going to be tucked up underneath to really give you maximum clearance while still protecting your truck. All right, back to running boards, and this time we're talking about the cons. Number one, they offer limited protection. If you're doing a lot of off-roading and you're worried about rocks, boulders, you know, going over stuff where you're worried about that undercarriage, running boards are not going to offer that level of protection. Yeah, they're great for dings and dents and catching that car door swinging open on you, but that's really where their level of protection stops, and that's a con. The other thing is, depending on the style, they may not be the best step. So there are some automatic ones that kind of lower. That's kind of nice. It's a little bit different, you know, kind of strategy of why you'd put something like that on your truck, but they're a good step. They're not the best step overall. And the other thing is, they are made of that lighter material, which is a pro. It's also a con because that material itself is not going to be, you know, it's not going to be quite as durable because it is a lighter material. The last thing is, you know, there's a lot of running boards out there that actually have the little lowered step cut out into them. Those do add a pro in it's a better step, but they do then reduce your clearance from the ground. So if you're going to get something that's a better step, you need to keep in mind that may actually reduce your ground clearance. All right, before I give my final recommendation, two things. Number one, if you made it this far in the video, do me a favor, go ahead and like and subscribe. Really appreciate that. Look forward to making more Tacoma videos and truck videos for you. Number two, just in full transparency, let me tell you what I've got on my Tacoma. So I don't have rock sliders. I do have running boards. I'm running with the Tiger running boards. They've got a nice black matte finish on it. They've got a nice texture. I generally don't step on them. I actually step over them. But my wife, like I mentioned, she does step on it to get into the truck. So for her, it's nice. The reason that I don't have rock sliders is because I didn't feel like I needed to spend that much and add that much weight to it when most of my off-roading is just trails, right? Very basic dirt trails, maybe a little bit of gravel trails, but I'm not really doing any really heavy off-roading that I'm worried about really protecting that undercarriage. So that's why I'm going with running board. It's also a little bit less expensive, so I'm not spending as much on getting running boards, and that's one of the big advantages. I really like the Tiger running boards. I think they give it a nice look. I like that it adds a little bit of a ruggedness. I like the black finish, goes well with my black truck. So that's what I'm going with, and I wanted to just make sure that I told you, like, you know, when you're looking at reviews on mods and products, you kind of want to know what they're rocking, right? Because it definitely is going to influence what they think of things. And hey, let me give a shout out to Tiger Auto. I have been very happy with the running boards that I've got on here. They were easy to install. I'll link to my install video there. They've got this nice black finish, goes well with the truck. You'll notice here that they do have this step up. So, you know, this adds a nice little landing pad when you do need to step up. Got that in the front, got that in the back. They're solid, you know, they're probably considered Nerf bars because they are rounded, but flat on the top. So just a shout out to Tiger Auto. I love companies that put out high quality products that I get excited about having on my Tacoma. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of what I'm rocking on my Tacoma TRD off-road. So what is right for you? Rock sliders or running boards? Nerf bars, side steps, whatever you want to call them there. Really, to me, it comes down to one thing. Do you do some pretty heavy off-roading? Because if you do, the extra expense in getting those rock sliders is well worth what it's gonna do to save your truck. So if you're doing heavy off-roading, absolutely you should get those. Now, if you're not, then I would recommend going with running boards. It's gonna give you a little protection, it's gonna give you a step up. And look, I'm gonna be honest, there are a lot of people out there that have said, hey, I put them on there, they get in the way. I haven't experienced that. 5'10", I do have a 2-inch leveling kit, so the front of my Tacoma is lifted 2 inches, so it's not like a 3-2 lift. really high off the ground, which if I had it, maybe that step would be more valuable. But I like having the protection. I like that when kids or other people like my wife need to jump into the truck, they can step up onto that step and get in. For me, stepping over it to get in and out doesn't impact me at all. To me, I don't find it to be a distraction. So for me, I love having running boards, but if I decide to do some serious off-roading, I will absolutely be switching these out and putting on some rock sliders. No, that's it. That's a wrap. Like, seriously. But hey, if you're still watching, go ahead and like, go ahead and subscribe, and even more importantly, maybe give me a comment. What are you rocking? Do you got rock sliders? Do you got running boards? Or do you got nothing? Have you tried and didn't like either one? Let everybody know down below. All right, no, seriously, this is the end of the video. All right, peace out.